Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, late afternoon, March the 15th, 2020, and I hope everyone is doing as well as possible. I'm doing okay, and just continuing with my daily updates for everyone as best I can on the methane and sulfur dioxide and abrupt climate change and things like that. So we're going to look at methane data today and look at what's happened with sulfur dioxide since yesterday and a little bit of earthquakes, and we've got our weekly methane update as well. So let's get started with our slideshow. From Climate Reanalyzer from today, Sunday the 15th, we can see that the red that had been over the Arctic region yesterday is now moved down over northern Canada and over into Alaska, and we're seeing it's still quite red over a lot of Russia and Siberia, and a lot of the Arctic is still in the blue and purple, meaning it's much colder than normal, between zero change to when you get into this purple, that's about 20 degrees colder than normal, like right here near the North Pole. And also here in Canada, we've got that white purple, and the dark blue is about 10 degrees lower than normal. But the red is, that red color is close to about 20 degrees warmer than normal. So we have a huge contrast here, just right next to each other. So overall, the world is up 0.5 degrees C today, hotter than normal or warmer than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 0.9 C, and so that's quite a lot warmer than normal. The Arctic is up 0.6 C, so that's going back up. The tropics are up 0.5 C. The southern hemisphere is up 0.1 C, and the Antarctic is down 1.3 C. So here's the flat view. We can see I don't see any red in the Antarctic here. In fact, we're seeing some blues. And now look at this red area just covering up this huge area in Russia or Siberia, and moving on down and then into the Arabian countries here, and then here it is over northern Canada and Alaska. Now we've got our NOAA methane data for yesterday, Saturday the 14th, that we're tracking, and this is the Met-Op1 satellite from the morning. We're looking at 477/469 millibar reading. The mean was 1847, and the high reading was 2400 parts per billion. Here in the afternoon on this satellite, the mean was 1887 and the high reading was 2622 parts per billion. So that's going up, or it's getting high. And look at this big swatch of missing data here in the South Atlantic. And the Met-Op2 satellite in the morning was 1876 mean, and the high reading was 2329. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1874 and the high reading was 2317. And we're seeing some pink colors down here over the Antarctic as well. So here's our spreadsheet that we've been adding to for the last year or so, and here's our numbers. I added up the numbers that I just showed you for the 14th, and the average came out to be 1881 parts per billion, and last week it was 1879.75, so that shows an increase of 1.25 parts per billion this week. So here's our chart. It's still going up. It didn't go up as much as it had in the last few weeks, but it still went up. And down here, I'm tracking it now on a daily basis, and so we can see, so here it was from Saturday the 7th, where it was 1879.75, and then it went down another day, and then it went up 3 days, and then it went down 1 day, and then it stayed the same 1 day, and then it went back up yesterday for a reading. So if we hadn't gone down those couple of days, it would have been higher. So in the last few weeks, it's really increased. So in 1 week, it's increased 1.25. In 2 weeks, it's gone up 4.5. In 3 weeks, it's gone up 7.5. And in the last 4 weeks, it's gone up 15, because it went up a whole bunch in 1 week. And in the last 5 weeks, it's gone up 17.75. So that's really high. It's just zipping along. So here's where we started on March the 1st of 2019, and here's where we're at right now. Here was our high in 2019 in October. Right here, October the 12th, the high reading was 1885.75. So we're already at 1881. So it looks like if we don't have some valleys, some serious valleys in this methane, then we're going to overtake our high from last year in short order. We could do it in a week. I mean, we've seen this increase, exponential increase. So, and I'm just keeping a little running increase down here. So in the last so we started over here on February 29th for the data, where so far it's increased 4.5 since February 29th. Now last year there was an increase of 19.25 from March the 1st to February 29th. And since March the 1st of last year, it's increased 23.75. So it's heading up. So now let's see what's happening on CAMS. Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services. They're out of the EU. And we have data for Sunday today, and I pulled up the Arctic view and surface level. And there's our color chart below there. So here's where it left off yesterday, Saturday, with this release building off of Severnaya Zemlya. And Alaska had calmed down, But we have this new release here. These are the Siberian islands, and there's a new release right on that tippy point. So as I play this movie, I want you to watch here. This is going to explode in methane and fill up and swirl around, and this area has not stopped going off since January, so I don't know what's going on. So here we go. So the data is for today, and then the forecast runs Monday through Thursday on their model. Oh, hold on. Okay, I had to load up the movies. I had loaded them, and then I had to clear out my cookies and reboot and reset everything, and then I forgot to load it up again. So here we are. So this is, watch this on Thursday. Look at this. Wednesday. It starts really well. Tuesday doesn't look good either, but they're on Wednesday and Thursday. It's really coming up. And we have these lighter shades of green, which is methane release, and the yellow. So it's releasing here over the East Siberia ice shelf, and there's there, and then it's coming back on the coast of Alaska. We're seeing some higher releases in Siberia here, or Russia, and then higher releases dotted around. We're also seeing these high releases in northern China here, and then it moves across into Russia. See? Right there at the end of the forecast period. We're also seeing higher releases here in Canada. Here's North Dakota, and that's a hot spot there. Alright, now let's go to the North Pole view. Europe is getting covered up in methane. Look at that. It's just like one blob. Watch as it goes through the forecast period. Down here. By Wednesday and Thursday is just one blob of methane all the way across. The UK is getting a lot. Here's India, and we see it releasing in the Arabian Sea, and high releases still in the Indian Ocean. And here's China. It's still quite high. We're not seeing really, well, there it is on today, where it's just really ballooning over the border, coming up out of the ocean. And we've got, anyway, and then we've got North America. Remember that cold air is up here in Canada, so that's, but where it's not that real cold air, we're seeing some pretty high releases from the Midwest coming on across the United States. Okay, let's look at the global view now. And I never saw the earthquakes that would have gone along with that huge sulfur dioxide release that I was so up in arms about. We didn't see like super major earthquakes up there. So I think is when the plates are moving is just releasing these huge pockets of sulfur dioxide. And so the energy, like Rosemary left in her comment, the energy is different now. It's not moving the same. And so we can't go by past things. We're in no man's land. Here's 500 HPA. Let me refresh so that we can get our color ledger. That's looking awful. Look up here and see the black all the way across. Look at that. All the way across there and there. All the way across the Arctic. And here in northern India and Russia and here. So that, methane is still increasing, so we're going to be seeing more red and more of this, I call it black. It's this dark reddish brown. We're going to be seeing more and more of that as the methane keeps going up, up, up. And I'll refresh this so we can get our color ledger. So here's China. Here's India. South America. We've got getting more red over South America. And this total column, this is total column that we're looking at now. So it's turning more reddish orange as it's coming across the Pacific. Let's look at the Pacific view real quick, and you'll see this cloud. My computer's doing something. I hope it's not updating or something right now. It's probably running some kind of scan or something. I hear it over here. Working away. Yeah, see, we've got some red over here and over here. Then this is reddish orange. So it's definitely increasing on the total column. Let's go back to our slideshow now. Now we'll look at sulfur dioxide. Here it is from today. And we saw a lot. We saw more yesterday, and some of this is left over from a couple of days ago, but some of this is new. And so what's really we're focusing in on is here in the Pacific Ocean and Alaska and coming across Canada and the United States. But we have high sulfur dioxide over here too. On the eastern side it's not just there, but most of it's over here. Now look, we've got some over here in the Middle Eastern countries. So this is 500 HPA. Here's the Eurasia view. So we have some higher releases here, and here's Kazakhstan. That's kind of gone down a little bit. Here's China. Here's the 500 HPA. So we have a little bit higher here in Russia, and then we have quite a bit higher reading at 500 HPA over here. Not sure which countries these are. We'll look on the earthquake map and see where this is. Here's the Pacific view. So this is leftover from yesterday, and this is leftover from yesterday, and this red moving across Canada and the United States, that's leftover from yesterday. But there's a new release here on western Alaska, and watch when we go to 500 HPA. See this? There's I'm gonna blow this up. What we can see is there's a really dark area in the Aleutian Islands. So this is, that tectonic plate runs right along the Aleutian Islands, then comes down and around the Ring of Fire, and then down and around on the west coast. So this is more plate movement releasing very high sulfur dioxide, and it zips up to 500 HPA. This is high up here. This could be another release as well. Canada. I'm not sure. You know, when you have so much coming up and mixing and moving in the jet stream, it's hard to tell what's new and what's old unless you see something like this that is totally new from the day before. Here's the North Pole view, so we can see the northern hemisphere here. Now Popocatépetl is still going off. That's kind of a constant. So, you know, there could be something coming up here, and it's just hard to tell. So as these clouds move across, I know when it's high sulfur dioxide in my area, I get I'm sensitive to it. I get hyper anxiety, and I can't rest. I'm very sensitive to it. Here's the South Pole view. And here are the earthquakes this morning in the Searles Valley Ridgecrest area. There were only 29 here today. So a lot of pressure has been released from the sulfur dioxide releasing, as we can see. And when pressure is released, then the number of earthquakes down here go down. But once the pressure builds, the earthquakes, they start stepping back up. And then we're back to the beginning. So now let's hop on over to the earthquake map. Now this is quite a bit different than what we saw yesterday. we were seeing nothing. We saw nothing over here yesterday, but look at all of these. So this equates to the sulfur dioxide that we saw just now in the Middle East. Here's one in the Black Sea. So this is Russia coming down here. This is the Ukraine. So this is where we saw the red coming across. And this is Kazakhstan here. Here's Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and so on. Here's Turkey. And see, they've had some, here's one in Turkey, and here's one in the Mediterranean, just south of Turkey. Here's one in the Mediterranean, next to Italy. So this explains the red that we saw over in this area. And here's one 5.3 in Iran, and Afghanistan had a couple. Here's two. Here's one on the Tibetan Plateau of 4.2 near Luring, China. Here's one in northern India, 4.3 near Nepal, or Banglung, Nepal. So this is really ramped up since yesterday. Look at all of those. And then in the Atlantic Ocean, we've had 3. Here's one near Morocco. This is near the Canary Islands, 3.8. The reporting station is Portugal, but I'll show you. The Canary Islands are here. These are volcanic. And then so this earthquake is just in the north. And then here's one right at the intersecting line where these 3 tectonic plates come together. So this is a fulcrum point. So 4.3 there. Then we had a 4.7 at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This came in this morning. Now we saw one last night on my report last night down here. So so the plates are moving. We can definitely see plate movement. And then down here we've been seeing a lot of deep earthquakes. Uh-oh, I meant to zoom in. And New Zealand, look at New Zealand today. This is crazy. They've had, the first one was this 4.8 on the northern end of the North Island, and then a 4.6 on land in the southern island near Amberley, and then a 4.5 on the southern end of the North Island near Pattaya. Now this one was 181 kilometers deep. So the deeper they are, the less you'll feel it on the surface and the less damage it'll do. But the more it'll shake the plates on the other side. And then here's I showed this one no, this is a new one, another deep one, 4.5 near Ndoye Island, Fiji. This came in at 7:54 this morning Pacific time, 520 kilometers deep. So plate movement, that's all I can say. 5.3 Solomon Islands, 4.9 Papua New Guinea, 362 kilometers deep. 4.9, Papua New Guinea. 4.5, Banda Sea, 409 kilometers deep. 5.1, Indonesia. 4.5, Indonesia. 4.5, Philippines. 4.4, Guam. 4.5, Japan. This is in the water. Nahashi, near Nahashi. Then look at South America. This is crazy. 3 in a row here in Chile. 4.1, 4.2, 4.2, and these were all about the same depth. This one was 126 kilometers deep. Then a 4.8 up here in Brazil. The reporting station is Colombia, but it was in northwest Brazil. And then look at this one at Venezuela, right on the north coast. 4.7 near Arapa. This was at 5:09 this afternoon. And then we've got 33 here at Puerto Rico. It's still shaking. It's not stopping. It's like this constant vibration or something. 3.0 it looks like is 3.1. Looks like that's the largest. No, here's a 3.2. That's the largest. So it seems to me like it's this constant vibration of the earth that we're feeling and seeing now. 4.4, Guatemala. And let's see what's going on in Hawaii. In Hawaii today. So that's still a lot of movement there. Then up here we're seeing activity. So what we saw on the sulfur dioxide was a huge release up here. Let's go back to that picture. Here it is, right here. Is where we're seeing a huge release. So go back to our earthquakes. Right up here is where we're gonna, that's where it's coming up. So the sulfur dioxide, you know, the plates move, and these pockets don't have to be on the plate line. It can be anywhere where you have a fault line or, you know, a weak point or something like that, and it can just pop up. That's my new theory. And we don't have to see an earthquake. They can just pop up. And it doesn't have to be a huge earthquake to go along with it. We've got 69 in Alaska today. And these aren't huge, you know, ones. Mainly ones. There's a 2. There's a 2.7 at Anchor Point. So, anyway. And I'd like to welcome all my YouTube subscribers and viewers. I've gotten a whole bunch of new subscribers in the last couple of days. I'd like to welcome you. Look up here in Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Here's a 2.1. Oh, that's a 1.9 and a 2.1 there. That happened today. And it's pretty quiet up here in Oklahoma. We've only had 2 today. And see, quiet here on this Juan de Fuca plate, and over here along this San Andreas fault line, but it's picking back up here in Northern California. See, look at all of these around the Reno area. Here's Goldfield. It's still got a bunch today. It's still swarming. 14. It's slowing down. 2.4 is the highest there. Look, one right in the middle of Pyramid Lake. 0.9. Here's one to the east, 1.3 near Lovelock. Now that's quite a bit north of Lovelock, because south, sorry. Lovelock, where is it on the map? There's Fallon, so 80 goes this way. Lovelock is about 90 miles. There it is, east of Reno. There it is. That's a mountain range there. I've been there. Let's see. There's the geysers and so on. So that's what we've got. Here's all these in Southern California. Here's a couple in Baja, 3.0 and a 2.5. But we haven't seen huge, but the little ones count, and they're still coming in. And it's like this, like I said, this constant vibration. And maybe that's what we're feeling. And along with the, it's contributing to the nervous feeling that we have. So here's 3 at Yellowstone today. Salt Lake. Utah's quiet. Let's see what Oregon has. A 0.6 at La Pine. And here's a couple north of Seattle, a 0 and a 1.7. So time is short, folks. It's shorter every day. And we are in the end times. I do believe it. So if you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, I recommend it now. I highly recommend it now.